Welcome to this video. In the video I will demonstrate you how to use JavaScript to change components of an HTML, read data from form or input fields, and do some CSS and related stuff. So what we'll do now, we'll have just a basic form that has two inputs. One is X and one is Y. And the form will look like this one. So two inputs X and Y, then a place where to display the result, and this is the display result. We're using ID here, so the first input we give it ID X, and the other one we give it ID Y, and the result I'll give it ID result. So the result will come there. And we're using a simple button here, cal sum or calculate sum, and this function is a JavaScript which will read the data from X and read data from Y, add them together and display the result in result. Watch this one. So here is the function, simple function. The first line here is getting the value of X, so it will use document get element by ID. Document here refer the whole HTML document, and using a method in that element in that document is get element by ID. So it's using the ID to find the value, and then the element we're looking at here is X, is whatever the user entered here, we're taking it and getting the value of that X. Same thing for Y, and then adding the two X and Y together. But if we add them without doing %, we will get the wrong result. For example, if you add 5 here and 5 here and press sum, you'll get 55. But you need to do something for that. First, you need to convert the value of X from string to integer, and this is %, will do that. And there is also float if you want to use float, and it will change that value to integer here or float as you want. The same thing here, and then now these two numbers are numbers really. So will be 5 plus 5, or Z will be 10, and then displaying the result back to here or to this place. So what we're using here is again document get element by ID result. The ID is result which we're targeting for our change, and we're changing the HTML using inner HTML, and whatever the value of Z which coming from the calculation, it will be displayed here. So if you put 5 plus 5, you'll get here 10. The other line is changing the background of this result, making it yellow. So using style background yellow, and here using width, style width. So this one will not take the whole screen, will take only 200 pixels as a width. Now this code will work fine, but for me I'm finding writing down document get element by ID every time I want to get a value from an element or change a value of an element is just wasting time. Yeah, and sometimes you could make a mistake by making this E lowercase, for example, or B lowercase, or something, adding S here or elements. These mistakes will make your code is not working, and JavaScript is not helpful in terms of telling you what the mistake. You need to debug it through the console of your browser. Now I want to create a shorter version of this line, and we'll come to that one. So in future I just use the shorter version, like for example get value of X, get value and X, and then I get the value, get value and Y, or float Y, I'll get the value. You don't need to write the whole long one. And the same thing for setting the HTML. I can just have set HTML, and send the element ID and what value I want to have on the HTML, and then it will do that. We'll come to that one, but first of all, this method we're using now, which works fine, and there's no problem with that at the moment. The whole code will look like this. So you will have the HTML code in the head. You add the script and close the script, and in between you add this function, which you already looked at it, and I think we went through everything. And here in the body you will have your form, and you will have the button, and then you'll have where the result will come, which should diff. And this should work fine. We will demonstrate later it's working with no problem. Now the changes I want to do, I want to improve this one and make it looks better, and I want to create a sort of a library for me, which I can grow it in the future. I can call the functions. And this is one of the reason there are a number of libraries based on JavaScript like jQuery, Ajax, and other who do amazing things. They were created to simplify of the things that JavaScript does, and also to bring a rich features and abilities that can the programmers use with less coding and writing down the code. So to do that, to simplify this, we'll create an external file. So we'll create an external file. We'll call it httcis.js. Okay. Now the first thing we'll do, we'll create this function in that file. So the first function is set value int, and it will receive an element ID, and then use the traditional document get element by ID element value to get that value, parse it to int, and return it back to the caller function. We'll create another version of it with get element value float, and it just does the same but change it to float and send it back to the user. And the third function will do, which is a very simple one but powerful one. It get an element ID, get a value, and display it on the screen using this method. So they will call our function setHTML. So if you want to change any element on our page, adding new text to it or numbers or whatever, we just use this function setHTML and send the element ID and the value, and it will change on our page. We will also create in our httcis.js, in our, we call it library. Library should be bigger than that, but this is the start. We can build on it and create more and more. We'll add another 3 functions. One, setting the background of any element by passing the element ID and the value want for the background. So we want the background to be yellow, green, whatever. You just say set background for whatever element ID here you have, and then what value you want for the background. Similar thing for setting the color of the text, and similar thing for setting the width of an element. So this all will put it together in one file. The file is httcis. It will look like this one, and it has all those details. Now what will be different between our previous version and current version on the page? We had this one where we had our form, and we used to have this function. Now this line here is going to change, and we replace it by get value int x and get value int y. There's no need to parse anything here. Will just only z will be x plus y, because we already parsing it in the function. And this one, long one here, will be basically set HTML results z, and set background results yellow, set width result 200 pixels. So the new function will look like this. It's shorter, in terms of the length. The number of lines are the same, but the short in terms of the lines we're writing. So this is get value end x y, then adding it together, set HTML and set background and set width. So that's it. Now, how is the complete HTML or PHP file will be? You look at it here. One new thing came here is this line. This line basically adding or linking our library or external file to the HTML or PHP or JSP or whatever it is. And here we say script, the source, where is the file, and what's the name of that file, what is that source. The source is ctcis.js. That's it. And then this is the new function, the short one, and the remaining things are the same as before, no change in that. Now let's have a demo and see how this will work. Now if you look at our code, first the main index, this is the main index file which just we saw with the link to the external file. This is the external file with the 6 functions that we created, and here we can now test it. So let's say we'll add anything coming to my mind and just click some. You will get the total of these two numbers and they are correct. Yeah, so that's simply what you can do now with those new functions. In the future I'll be just linking this file to my applications, and instead of using document get element by ID, I just basically call get value int. I can add other elements that look at elements by class or elements by name or other things, and I can add some other more interesting functions that I can reuse again and again. And that's the idea of creating your external files or libraries, to be able to use them later again and again without rewriting them now and spending time on that. So thank you. I hope you find this video useful.